What's up, Degen Nation? We're back, folks. It is Saturday. Felt good about the day. Nice little 9-game slate for the main, starting at 6 p.m. Central Time. So this is your Saturday edition of the Quick Bricks NBA DFS podcast, brought to you by the good guys at Fantasy Degens, of course. Hope everybody's enjoying their weekend so far. It is rainy where I'm at, so that's one big reason why I decided to do a pod today. If you are part of the Fantasy Alarm family, we will have plenty of content over there as well today. I'm actually doing the Value Vault for Fantasy Alarm today as well, so look for that later. I think John might be on the playbook and James is on the starting five video. Okay, so anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into today's 9-game slate. Again, just wanted to say that the last two roster monsters have done quite well. Karl Anthony Towns, 73.5 points on Wednesday, and then I had Shai Gilgeous-Alexander last night on my pod for Friday's pod, and he put up 52.5 fantasy points at 5% owned, and he was only 6,500, I believe. Yeah, 6,500, 6.5K on DraftKings. Loved the spot, loved him last night, and he came through. Let's jump into today's slate. So, again, we'll start with the games. We'll start with the totals and the spreads, talk a little bit about the pace, see which ones are doing well, which ones are up, which ones are down. First game on the docket, we got 76ers at the Pistons, which is good because we've already got the news that Joel Embiid is not going to play. What I have right now is Philadelphia minus 4.5. I'm pretty sure that'll probably be bet down. Total of 216 on the board. I do believe that Drummond is going to be very, very popular today, and for good reason. I mean, Joel Embiid is one of the bigger defensive players on the interior for Philadelphia. Horford's good, but I'm sorry, but Drummond is a little bit of a mismatch there. Anyways, 216 on that total, so not really high, and that's going to be the picture with today. There's not a whole lot of high totals. There's one that kind of sticks out above all the rest, and then you kind of have a couple that are a little bit lower, and then two other in the 220s, and then the rest are just in the 2 teens. I mean, not real high. Game number 2, we got the Magic at the Hawks. Orlando minus 2.5 on the road here, 217 for that total. Next game, we have the Boston Celtics on a back-to-back, traveling to New York to take on the Knicks, who are also on a back-to-back. Boston comes in as a 6-point road favorite, 216 on that total, and I just had a little side note here. So far, and I know it's a very, 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 very small sample size, but the Knicks have actually been running with some pace, and in their first 2 games, they are actually ranked 3rd in the NBA in pace so far, so something to pay attention to. I know the total's not up there, but this could be a nice little pace-up spot for both them and Boston, obviously, because if they're running with pace, Boston is actually ranked 15th right now in pace, a little bit better than what I would expect. So this could actually increase the pace for Boston, which you could really see a good decent pace in this game tonight. So keep that one in mind. Boston in New York. Next game we have the Raptors traveling to Chicago, who are also both on back-to-backs. The Bulls came up with a win last night. Toronto minus 3, 219 on that total. 4th highest game on the board. Pretty sketchy line there. Only giving the Bulls 3 at home here, huh? That's pretty crazy. So you got the Raptors here. Seems sketchy for that total. Or, I mean, not for that total, but for that spread. Game number 5, we have the Pacers traveling to Cleveland to take on the Cavs. Indiana comes in as a 5-point road favorite, 213. I believe that is the lowest total on the slate. The Pacers are very good defensively. I do like a few pieces in this game. I think it'll be heavily concentrated in just a few areas, so I do think there's some decent players as far as fantasy goes in that game, but lowest total on the board by a few points. Pelicans on a back-to-back against the Rockets. This is your game, obviously. It should be wildly majorly popular, 237 on the total. It is exactly 8 points higher than any other game. And then that game is actually, it's 8 point higher than the third highest total. So This one stands above, obviously for good reason. You have the Pelicans, who just have a insanely crazy pace. They've been, it's funny because they really haven't been. For the first 2 games, they're 18th. They're ranked 18th in pace, but the Rockets are ranked 5th. We saw last night that the Pelicans are not going to play defense. They have no desire to play defense. And obviously that's going to bode well for a couple of guys of the Rockets. Obviously, we know who. But there's a couple guys on the Pelicans that should have some pretty decent games as well. So, of course, that's a game we're going to be looking to target. Next game, we have the Wizards at San Antonio taking on the Spurs. San Antonio comes in here as an 11.5-point home favorite, 217 on the total. Not a big fan of that one. Wizards, the thing is the Wizards they're really not, they haven't been playing with any pace. Like last season, they ranked in the top 5 in terms of pace. So, pretty crazy. They're not playing with a whole lot of pace. They're actually 13th right now, out of the top 10. You have the Spurs, who are actually ranked number 4. Wow. Spurs ranked, of course, they've only played 1 game. They played the Knicks, which, like I said, the Knicks are ranked 3rd. That game finished with 238 points between the Knicks and the Spurs. So, interestingly enough, Wizards and Spurs is a 217 total. Not a great total, but it's, I think, 5th or 6th on the slate. Yeah, 6th. So, I don't mind a few pieces in that one, but I'm not in love with it. Kings at the Jazz, the Wizards are on a back-to-back as well. That's probably why the Spurs are favored by over 10 here at home. Wizards on a back-to-back. They don't have a whole lot of good bodies. The guys that they do have played again. They played last night. Spurs are fresh, had a day off. So Spurs might be something you want to look at if you're a betting man. Kings at the Jazz, both on a back-to-back. Jazz played the Lakers last night. Utah minus 9.5 at home, which I think is a really big line for Utah, and I like Utah. They're really good, but they got throttled last night a little bit by the Lakers. That was, like I said, the West is going to be so insanely crazy this year, man. It's going to be so good. It's going to be a great year. Anyway, Utah minus 9.5. This has the 3rd highest total on the board. It's 221. This one will definitely probably have a few pieces in as well. Lastly, but not least, you kind of have that late night hammer. You got the Clippers going into Phoenix to take on the Suns here. LA only given 9.5. Crazy enough, the Clippers are 2-0. Been beating some teams single-handedly, and they go into the Suns, go into Phoenix and not to play the Suns, and they're not even a 10-point favorite. Interesting. 229 on this total, 2nd highest total on the board. Obviously, that's going to be your late night hammer. We always talk about the late night hammers. This is that game. So, with that being said, that's kind of a rundown of all the games. Now we go ahead and jump right into the positional by position players. And I will go ahead and tell you this, that the point guard spot is loaded. I mean, it is freaking loaded. So that's probably going to be the spot that you're going to want to pay up at. As far as I can see from what I've done on a little bit of research, you're going to want to pay up for that point guard spot. Of course, so we'll start James Harden easily enough at 10-2. Shot 2 of 13 in their first game. Shot like shit. Still finished with 51.3 fantasy points. I think he had like 15 free throw attempts. I mean, the guy gets to the line, he's going to get fouled, he's going to shoot free throws. Could he put up 60 or 70 tonight? Sure. I mean, it is the Pelicans. They don't play defense. More than likely, he might get Drew Holiday, but I don't know. I think he could. Either way, I'm not worried about it. Like I said, I don't think the Pelicans really care about playing defense. So Harden at 10-2. The one I really like, though, is Russell Westbrook at 9.1. Why he is 1.1K less than Harden, I don't really know. Russell Westbrook finished with 62 fantasy points, shot 7 of 17, near the triple-double. Guy was active all over the floor. This is his type of game. I mean, pace-up spot, biggest total on the board. This is Russell Westbrook written all over it. Get on Russell Westbrook. Trae Young, my boy, had 62.3 last game against Detroit. We were all over him, if you read my article. Of course, I know the Fantasy Alarm folks were. I also put it in the chat over at Fantasy Degens, so I was all over Trae. He was very, very grossly unowned for a 3-game slate. But again, he's 8.8 going against Orlando tonight. Don't mind that a bit. Ben Simmons at 8.6, no Embiid. He's got a great matchup tonight versus Detroit. Need I remind you that Trae Young put up 62 versus Detroit, and who was the other one? Oh, Malcolm Brogdon put up 45.8 against Detroit. What is it? It might be point guards against Detroit. They can't guard anybody in the guard play. So that's definitely one that you're going to want to put in your back pocket. Detroit can't guard point guards. So again, Ben Simmons, 8.6, no Embiid, love the play. Drew Holiday at 8.5 here. Last 2 games, he's shot 2 of 11 and 6 of 15. I mean, I think he's going to be – I think he'll be a little underowned. Maybe he won't be, considering that Pelicans and Rockets game stacks. He's going to probably garner some ownership due to that fact. But I think he's decently priced at 8.5. He's really been underperforming. But, Zion's out still, and he's still taking plenty of shots. He just got to put one together. Rockets don't really exactly play great backcourt D either with Harden and Westbrook. So Drew Holiday, I totally don't mind. Under him, Don Mitchell at 7.9, 42.3 and 55 in his first 2 games. 15 or more field goals in his last 2 games. They're going to continue to lean on Donovan Mitchell. Again, they're on back-to-back. He's going to continue to shoot. They are playing the Kings. So definitely a game that I do think that you can be playing Don Mitchell in. So 7.9, I think he's probably one of the better value plays in that top tier. Kyle Lowry at 7.3. I think he's pretty cheaply priced here for some reason. 40.8, 49.5 fantasy points in his last 2. He's actually really been impressive. I mean, he's been taking the ball to the hoop. He's been shooting well. He's been active. So at 7.3, I think Kyle Lowry is a pretty decent play. The Bulls can't guard anybody in the guard spot. So we know, obviously Siakam, Van Vliet, and Lowry are going to be, your main targets for that game. But Lowry at 7.3, yeah, I dig it. So that kind of rounds out my top. Like I said, that's why I said it's so star-studded up here. You've got Harden, Russell Westbrook, Trae Young, Ben Simmons, Drew Holiday, Donovan Mitchell, Kyle Lowry. And then, so that kind of rounds out that top tier from the 7K and above range. Go down to the 6.9 and below. Malcolm Brogdon, 6.5. He has a pretty good game he had a good game again against Detroit. Detroit can't guard point guards, obviously. 45.8 fantasy points for Brogdon in game 1. He started off really slow in the first half. I was shocked whenever I looked at his line after the game because I kind of quit paying attention. He was a big cash game play over on Fantasy Alarm the other night, and he came through. And that's exactly James and John hit the nail right on the head with him. He's going to get you those points every night. He is a cash game lock. He's a crafty guard. He plays well off the ball, and he does enough. So again, 6.5. Don't mind Brogdon. Dejounte Murray at 5.7, 24 minutes, 41.5 points against the Knicks. Tonight they get the Wizards at home. Dejounte Murray is definitely on my radar at 5.7. Wish he was getting more minutes, man. The guy has so much upside. God, I'm so high on him this year. Hopefully they ease him in and get him up closer to that 30-minute range. But at 5.7, I don't hate it. So let's see here. That kind of rounds out my middle tier. Going to the bottom, Derrick Rose at 4.9, played 25 and 27 minutes in his first 2, over 31 fantasy points in both. So don't hate that. Emmanuel Mudiay for the Jazz on a back-to-back, 3.5K. He's taken at least 10 shots in both games. He's not afraid to shoot. 18.5 and 24 fantasy points in those 2. He's played right around, I think he played 16 minutes last night, and he played 23 minutes in game 1. Here they are on a back-to-back. I don't know if they'll load manage most of their veteran guys, which includes Mike Conley, but Mudiay could see 20 or so minutes again tonight. So I don't mind it. At 3.5K, he's definitely worth the flyer in GPPs. Alonzo Trier at 3.4 had a really good game last night, 23 minutes, 32.3 fantasy points against Brooklyn. It's really, really, really hard to trust any Knick point guard. You don't know who they're going to play. Elfrid was started, then Trier came in and had a good game, and it's like Fizdale is nuts. They just have like a carousel there for point guards. So he's there, needless to say, at 3.4K. And that rounds out my point guards. Let's go right over to the shooting guard spot. You have DeMar DeRozan at 7.5. He was 3 of 10 in this game, in game one, of course, against the Knicks, 24 fantasy points. I don't love the play tonight, but again, they are playing the Wizards at home. Wizards on a back-to-back. DeMar DeRozan's going to play 30-plus minutes. We know that. He's going to take a shot, so at 7.5, I don't mind it. Let's see here. I'm going to be honest. Shooting guard is rough. It's really rough tonight. And again, a lot of these positions overlap with point guard, shooting guard, small forward. So that being said, it's kind of one of those things. So you got Lou Williams at 6.8. We love Lou. Evan Fournier at 5K. He's one of those guys that's like 0.9, fantasy point per, minute or whatever. He will eventually have those big games where he gets on fire shooting from three, and he's grabbing a few rebounds, grabs a couple steals. He can still do it, but he's just, you got to catch him on the right night. So at 5K, don't hate the tournament play. Van Fleet at 6.2. I had him in the wrong list here, and I had to rewrite him down. So, of course, like I said, we're going to be putting those Toronto guys in there. So Van Fleet at 6.2, absolutely. And that kind of rounds out my middle tier and the top tier. Like I said, there's not a whole lot of shooting guards I just really like. Then you got Bogdan down here at 4.9, who had a really nice game last night for the Kings. Marvin Bagley is still out, so he's fitting into the rotation. He played more minutes last night, so Bogdan. Luke Kennard at 4.9. He kind of underplayed me the other night. He was one of my, kind of my anchor plays that I really liked. He's going to continue to see minutes. Blake is still out. So, I mean, Kennard is fully entrenched in there in the rotation. So at 4.9, don't mind it. One of the more plays that I think is grossly underpriced here is Josh Richardson at 4.9K. Again, no Embiid. So that's going to basically rely on Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, Al Horford, Josh Richardson. Josh Richardson's only 4.9K. And they get the Pistons tonight, who obviously we have said, I wouldn't be surprised if Josh Richardson handles the ball quite a bit tonight with Ben Simmons. With that being said, we've talked about the Detroit can't guard point guards, so Josh Richardson is most definitely going to be one of my staple plays tonight. Eric Gordon in a revenge spot against New Orleans, 4.6K. Didn't really do a whole lot in game one. I'm really worried that Westbrook is going to hurt him more than anything. He definitely got minutes, but he just didn't get the ball as much. So probably not going to play him tonight, but just saying if you want to go there, you like that revenge narrative. And then I have been deemed the Josh Hart whisperer. And he again, last night, 3.2K on DraftKings, just like, what? Okay, they were drunk again whenever they made the prices for Josh Hart after game one, where he had a double-double. Played 28 minutes in game one. Last night he played right around the same, and guess what? He had over 30 fantasy points again, went for 10X in 2 games in a row, and then guess what? You know how much they raised his price? $400, 3.6K tonight. I don't mind it. I mean, he's obviously, they're on a back-to-back playing the Rockets, biggest total on the board. Give me Josh Hart again. I mean, why not? He's only 3.6K. So that's going to round out my shooting guards. Again, he can be shooting guard, small forward, so it's good that you can fit him in. You can get those higher price guys that you're going to need to have tonight. Small forward, Kawhi Leonard. Hey. I mean, Anyway, 8.9, sure, Kawhi. Jason Tatum at 6.5. I like that play. Obviously, playing the Knicks pace-up game, I think, is going to be I like Tatum at 6.5K. I think that's a very fair price. Aaron Gordon at 6.4 against the Hawks tonight, sure. I really like that one. Should be a decently paced game. We know the Hawks want to get up and run. They were number one in pace last season, so this could be a pace-up game. 217, it's like I said, it's kind of right around there in the mid, 5-6 highest total, so 5th or 6th, whatever you want to call it. Don't mind Aaron Gordon at 6.4. I think he will be grossly underowned because obviously people are going to want to go gravitate to Kawhi, to Tatum, to those kind of guys probably. Tobias Harris at 6.2. I obviously see a lot of people playing him. Another revenge guy on the slate here is Marcus Morris at 5.3. Had a terrible game last night. Was in my value vault article yesterday and really just, but it was for FanDuel. Needless to say, my DraftKings Value Vault article yesterday was the tits. I had Hassan Whiteside, I had SGA, and I had Josh Hart. All those guys crushed, but my FanDuel just was not good. I believe I had Marcus Morris. If I ever get the hankering or the idea to play Marvin Williams ever again, just somebody take me out back to the woodshed and take care of me. All right, thanks. So Marcus Morris 5.3, playing the Celtics, a revenge spot here for his new team, the Knicks. So if you're into that sort of thing, they're playing at home in MSG. So I like that one quite a bit. So Marcus Morris 5.3 will definitely going right back to that well. TJ Warren at 5.3 for the Pacers. I told you I didn't really like a whole lot in that game. I think he's just priced just right where you kind of like have to look at him at 5.3K. So TJ Warren, and that kind of rounds out my middle part. I had Harris, Marcus Morris, TJ Warren. My top part was Kawhi. Sorry, there was a little bit. There was Tatum and Aaron Gordon in my middle tier as well. Kawhi was the sit alone at the top. For your bottom range for small forward, Rudy Gay at 4.7. DeAndre Bembry at 3.8. I think is a nice piece in that Atlanta game. Kevin Knox, 3.6, played 29 minutes last night, played 21 game one, had a lot better game last night. Knicks are on back-to-back here. I like Kevin Knox at 3.6. I think they're going to need their youth again. Of course, they have veterans in Julius Randle, Marcus Morris. Those guys are going to get their minutes, but they're going to need they're going to need their younger guys to step up. So, Kevin Knox, 3.6, totally fine with that. One last revenge play for you here. Davis Bertans at 3.5. The guy's played 28, 29 minutes now. He plays the Spurs tonight in San Antonio, where a gym that he's very familiar with. I like Davis Bertans as a value play tonight. He's on my radar. That rounds out the bottom part of my small forwards. Moving right along, go to power forward. Pascal Siakam, 8.5. Sure, we already know it. He's the part of the Toronto stack. Julius Randle at 8K. Already know it. He's going to be in that game with the Knicks and the Celtics. Like I said, third highest pace for the Knicks, 15th for Boston. I think that game is going to be paced up more than we think it is and more than the total says. Sabonis at 7.5. Again, I didn't like a whole lot in that game, but I do like Sabonis. He's my boy. That kind of rounds out my top part for the power forward. For the middle, we have Montrezl Harrell at 6.2. He should absolutely feast tonight against Phoenix. I mean, he should dominate at 6.2K. I wouldn't be surprised if he went for 40 fantasy points. Horford at 5.8. We know he's going to probably play a lot of the 5. You have Hashimura, 5.1. Had a pretty decent game last night for the Wiz. Again, the Spurs don't seem to be playing a lot of defense, so Hashimura at 5.1. Larry Nance at 5K, I think, is just one of them evenly gross prices where, again, it's kind of like TJ Warren. You kind of have to look at him, but you don't really want to. With the Cavs playing the Pacers, I don't really love it, but I think it's totally fine at 5K. Don't think a whole lot of people will go there, so GPPs I'm more inclined to play him there. That rounds out the middle tier. Bottom tier, one person for the power forward, and this is probably power forward center. It's Frank Kaminsky at 4K. Played 33 minutes last night against Denver, put up 35 fantasy points. Okay, with no Ayton. They were relying on Aaron Baines, who also played 29 minutes, and Kaminsky at the 4, so which I'd like even more, actually. So he's going to play a little 4 and 5. They're little, like I said, they're kind of hurting down low for bigs. Kaminsky. I don't exactly love playing against the Clippers, but the opportunity is there, and he's only 4K. I mean, 33 minutes. Give me 30 minutes with a guy who's 4K on any freaking night, and I don't care who they're playing. They could be playing the Monstars from Space Jam, and I'll still play him. Anyway, That rounds out the power forward spot. Going over center, we've already talked about Drummond at 9.5. He's very, very high priced, but now I think it's a bit warranted. Obviously, with no Embiid, he's not going to have a whole tough task down there. Of course, they're not going to have a whole lot of great rebounders down there. Maybe Horford and Simmons. Drummond should eat up the glass. That's all there is to that. Vucevic at 8.3. Don't mind it. Don't love it. The guy could go for 60 on any given night. They are playing the Hawks, who aren't exactly inept on the glass as well. So Vucevic, Capella at 7.6, part of that stack as well. Thomas Bryant is one that I really like at 7.1. He's had 2 pretty good damn games already for the Wizards. I was very high on this guy going in. He was part of my one to watch article at Fantasy Degens. Been on him. I've got him in a couple season-long leagues. I really, really like Thomas Bryant in the second year. He's going to be a monster. So Thomas Bryant, 7.1. The Spurs. I think he can deal down there with them. So that kind of rounds out my top part for the centers. For the middle, Tristan Thompson at 5.7. He's just cheap. For a guy that plays 30 minutes, could easily get a double-double. If he could just throw in a couple steals and a block or two, the guy could literally top 40 every night. But 5.7, I don't mind Tristan Thompson. I don't think anybody's going to be on him. Again, he has a decent matchup there with the Pacers. Down low, they're not great rebounding team. Of course, Sabonis is. He eats the glass a lot, but I think Tristan Thompson will be able to hold his own against Miles Turner. So, with that being said, TT at 5.7 I think is a decent price. Aaron Baines at 4.8. Again, 29 minutes, 30.3 fantasy points last night. He's going to be the starting center. And that kind of rounds out my middle part for the centers. And I have one value play at center that I think he's just a fantasy point per minute monster, and it's Mohamed Bamba for Orlando. Against the Hawks. God, okay, lost my thought. Bamba there at 3.3K. Guy played 14 minutes and put up almost 21 fantasy points in his first game. Again, it's 3.3K. He doesn't have to do a whole lot, and if he happens to get 18 minutes, the guy could literally put up 25 fantasy points. So, that being said, Mohamed Bamba, I'm totally fine with. And this pod has just reached 27 minutes. My aim is to keep this thing under 30. That's the whole reasoning why I made this thing titled the Quick Bricks Podcast, is because I wanted it to be quick. I wanted it to be fast. I wanted to be able to give you guys just plenty enough information just to be able to help you guys make some decisions, and then that's it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys that what kind of bubble gum the guys were chewing on this night, and on Tuesdays and in October this person goes for 30 fantasy points. I'm not going to do that. I'll tell you guys what you need to know, and then we'll get out. All right? So, needless to say, enjoy your Saturday, enjoy your weekend. Nice slate tonight. Let's play. Let's chat it up later in the chat. And I look forward to it.